very focused. It's going to be a cracker.
It will. The Jamaicans with the first centre pass. Forbes lobbing it in for Aiken. She's got a huge height advantage down there. The umpires, both from New Zealand, Bronwyn Week and Mandy Nottingham. So we have a look at the starting lineups for both sides. The Australians first, of course, playing at home. Catherine Cox and Sherelle McMahon up front. The Von Berto sisters from Adelaide through the middle with Selena Gilson and Bianca Chatfield down back, playing a test match at home in somewhat of a surprise. The captain, Liz Ellis, and the coach is Norma Plummer. For the Jamaicans, well, we've seen Ramona Aiken and Simone Forbes already up front. Sasha Gay-Henry at wing attack with Peter Gay-Thomas in the centre. Nicola Gibson completes the triumvirate through the middle. And down back, the experience, Althea Byfield and Casey Evering. And Connie Francis is the coach, a former captain of the Jamaican side. And a good start for the Jamaicans. No early nerves, Eloise, and that's important.
Well, Jamaicans, they play with confidence and flair, and they don't seem to have any nerves. I know when I've played them before, they just go rough and tough at it the whole time.
Well, McMahon looking a fraction shaky, but she'll have another attempt.
And why wouldn't you with those long arms reaching way over your head?
Well, it's a fair height advantage that Evering's got over McMahon, about 5 centimetres, so, in fact, 10 centimetres, I should say. This is McMahon. Cox. And McMahon, she's so quick.
It's a great dish off there by Cox to notice McMahon just driving in nice and quick.
That's the shooter-to-shooter you're always talking about.
I love the shooter-to-shooter. It really annoys defenders.
So you've taught me something.
I have.
Here's Cox forced to go a long way backwards.
What the Australians are wanting, the Von Bertos to get moving. Quick netball, as you saw then by McMahon, just to flick it into Cox.
The Aussies out to a cool 2-goal early margin. We've travelled 2.5 minutes and there's a turnover. Thomas and Henry with a miscommunication for the Jamaicans. Well, off the top, Eloise, we've got to talk about Bianca Chatfield just with the ball, and Catherine Cox, somewhat surprised about those two perhaps being in the Aussie starting 7.
Well, it's just that they've been given an opportunity when in the past we've had Pratley lining up with McMahon and obviously Gerard with Alice. So those changes, you know, it doesn't, at the moment, hasn't seemed to affect the Aussies at all.
Well, certainly not. The Aussies looking to go to a 4-goal advantage here with Sherelle McMahon, the vice-captain. Solid as a rock down there. The Aussies have scored the last 5 after the Jamaicans had 2 of the first 3 goals. And another turnover there for the Jamaicans, and they're 9-2 in penalties and 3-zip in turnovers early against the Jamaicans. And some physical play. Thomas just collecting Von Berto and she's penalised.
The defence for Jamaica in that circle isn't tight enough on the Australian shooters. They've got to really get on them, body to body. They're going to stop them both.
Cox just playing in front, had great position, and the ball moving very swiftly down that far side, just in front of the Australian coaching staff, and there is Norma Plummer. She's been in charge for a number of years now, desperate. Oh, what a fantastic pass. We'll come back to Norma Plummer because into Aiken. That was great play. That was a more encouraging foray forward for the Jamaicans. Aiken has all 3 of the Jamaicans' goals. Snaps a 6-0 run by the Australians.
Great lean by Casey Evering then, just really stretching her arm right up. She has got long arms. She's been in the team for a long time now.
That's in a catch, free pass.
A replay, so once you get possession of the ball, you can't drop it and then pick it up again. It's one of those tricky things in netball, because when you're nervous, you tend to drop the ball and fumble a bit.
You just saw a shot of Connie Francis, the Jamaican coach. She would be a little bit nervous, I suspect, as well. Her side trailing by 5. Will it be 6?
Both out. Distance, ladies.
Well, it probably will be. Sherelle McMahon has the ball. Uncontested.
Yes.
And she's solid as well. So 6 goals the margin there is Connie Francis, the Jamaican coach. No doubt you would have played a number of times against her, Eloise.
I certainly have played against her. Very, very fantastic player for Jamaican for such a long time.
5 minutes gone from the State Netball and Hockey Centre in Melbourne. Last time these two sides play, we saw in the opening that it was in Melbourne, Commonwealth Games, it was a draw.
Was a draw, and there are a few players missing. Some of the Jamaican more senior players are away in the States playing on basketball contracts, and they couldn't be here. So they have got a young lineup here, but still they can match it if they do prepare well and think about what they're doing, get that ball moving.
McMahon with her 5th goal from 5 attempts.
That's a nice statistic.
It is, very nice. You'd take those every time, wouldn't you? First quarter. Big crowd here in Melbourne to watch this one. Everyone takes it. Byfield it was, rather, took a dive. McMahon uncontested again. But from that last time, the Australian squad has also had a number of changes. They've had 6 changes from that squad. A couple of them, probably 2 of their better players, with Gerard and Ellis coming back from injury, but a couple of rookies as well.
Yes, well, you know, we talk about that draw at the Commonwealth Games, and then you do remember that two of one of our star players in Gerard and Ellis were missing. So I think with the defence now, the way it is, and how that they can obviously perform at this level, I don't think that, you know, Australia up there going to take the world #1 back, I think. I might be slightly biased, though.
Of course you are. Cox.
Ever in court with their eyes down. When you're defending, you've got to try and keep your eyes up, see the ball coming in, especially those high balls.
It seems the Australians have easily been able to make position a couple of times just behind the back of some of the Jamaicans.
Yeah, without actually having to move around too much. So disappointing probably from their defence end so far for the Jamaicans.
Aiken converts. She's got all of the Jamaicans score. 5 goals, trailing by 7. We've gone just under 7, just over 7 minutes, I should say. Laura Vomberto, she's a live wire. She's only played a handful of test matches, Laura Vomberto, but she's the captain of the Adelaide Thunderbirds and a genuine star now, even at international level. Well, Chatfield coming out aggressively.
Oh, unfortunate by Chatfield, because I felt she had a go at the first ball, but then pulled off and didn't contact. So unfortunately it wasn't just play on.
And Forbes caught off balance there. Lucky to find a teammate in Henry.
Now Forbes,
the double team.
Yeah, Forbes is normally the playmaker in this Jamaican lineup. She's quite creative, looking to open it up and get the high lob in.
So do you think we'll see that a lot? Basically, Chatfield sagging off Forbes and the double team down on Aiken?
Well, I think that's why Chatfield would have been actually put on the court, was for her height. Even though Gerard can jump, she may have a slight little injury to that calf. She had it strapped in the warm-up, so that's probably what Plummer has decided to do, go with the height.
Forbes taking that playmaking role. As Eloise just talking about it, eventually it comes into Aiken.
Now,
awkward little shooting style.
Well, those arms could literally just feed the ball straight into the hoop.
191 centimetres and 21 years of age, Romelda Aiken. And in it goes, and a great stretch. Not much Ellis could do about that. Even Liz Ellis with her long arms in great reach. Jamaica have scored the last 3 to steady, having been down by 8 at one stage. The margin back to 5, and in towards McMahon. On the left, Susan Pratley on the right. Natalie Medhurst desperate to make her debut for the Aussies tonight.
Well, sometimes when you sit there in your first match, you start thinking how rough it is, as we see Liz Ellis go flying. Obviously just going for the ball.
Forbes should be forced to have her first attempt here. She converts. We'll have a look at Liz Ellis just a moment ago coming out.
Gilson obviously goes for that. Liz tried to read the play, come early for that intercept. Unfortunate.
And Forbes just with a little shrug off, just letting Liz Ellis that she's not going to be intimidated by any of that. Good start for Cox, 7 for 8. Australians lead it by 6. 5 minutes until quarter time.
And that's much better play from the Jamaicans. They've 1 or 2 passes and it's getting into a scoring opportunity.
And it's getting physical down there with Ellis and Chatfield just forcing Forbes out of play. And the Jamaicans, though, they force a turnover. No good worrying about the body if you can get the ball.
One thing Australia can't do is fall into the trap of getting physical on Forbes. She's a very smart player, but she likes it rough. I think she's played a bit of basketball and things like that, so the aggressive nature of a game she enjoys, and she'll thrive on that.
Well, Aiken.
What a reach.
And the groans from the crowd, the gasps, they're impressed with that athleticism.
It's just an absolute snap with one hand. It was amazing.
Cox from range, air ball. Jamaica with a chance.
This is where the Jamaicans need to steady and work it through.
Forbes made good position.
Holding, wing defence, penalty pass. Yes!
Henry with the free pass. Gilson are not happy.
Obstruction, keeper.
Forbes for her second attempt.
Yes.
Margin back to 4. Simone Forbes there. Henry. Chatfield with the interception, but against Selena Gilsonen.
Yes!
And a lot of penalties in the last few minutes from the Australians. 19 to 15, and that was a huge discrepancy early, but the Australians have been a little bit sloppy in the last couple of minutes.
Well, I don't know if it's sloppy, more to the point, just having a go at every opportunity and going hard early. And I can assure you that they've just got to try and pick the right moment to go for a ball, and if they can't actually think they can get it, then to pull out of it.
McMahon snaps back-to-back goals for the Jamaicans. Natalie Bomberto in the mid-court for Australia.
Byfield is really just sagging back into that goal circle and letting McMahon roam around. That's something she needs to work on, is really channeling McMahon and making her work hard outside the circle before she gets in there.
10 goals for Sherelle McMahon, 10 for 10. She's having a Susan Pratley, 100%. And she's sitting on the bench.
Well, she is 100% at the moment.
Henry looking for Aiken. Couldn't go there. Forbes with a pirouette.
Oh, they're starting to get a bit grumpy, I think.
Well, Sam Dennis is down sidelines. We might at some stage see if Sam is picking up on any narkiness or any comments between the players, of course. We'll certainly cross down to her and see if she's got anything to report, because you're right, there was no doubt a little bit of tension between a couple of the Jamaicans there.
Well, it's interesting. I think Forbes was sort of saying, steady it down, don't rush it in, give us the good balls.
There's a long way to go. There's a long way to go, I guess, in terms of personnel, according to the Jamaicans, before they settle on their final squad for the World Championships. But these girls will be desperate. They're playing for places in, obviously, the pinnacle of the sport.
Well, they are. And in Jamaica, these girls are like superstars. The Sunshine Girls, they've got these... I remember that when I was over there, they've got the bus that they travel in. It's all their faces all over it. Everyone cheers them home.
Margins back to 4, 17-13. And Jamaica with a centre pass to come. So scored the last 2. Henry needed to move it on. A Forbes it was. Into Aiken. Alice challenges her. Almost pulls off the interception. Dangerous pass. Good balance there.
And that was actually stepping. She actually raised her grounded foot. So the umpire not seeing that.
Here's Forbes, intelligent play. Had enough time to wipe the perspiration from her hands, I think. You're shaking your head, Eloise. It's a bit cheeky, you reckon?
No, I love her. She's very smart and creative, and she knows. She's just got a feel for it.
So Jamaica scored the last 3. The Aussies under some pressure for probably the first time in the match. Laura Bomberto into McMahon.
It was a fairly easy pass allowed in there by the Jamaican defenders.
There's Norma Plummer. Only a minute until quarter time. She's obviously just working out her message to the troops. Thomas into Forbes. Aiken, oh, Alice almost had a chance. And it is getting physical down there. You can see the Jamaican girls in the background bouncing up and down. They're lively.
They're cheering. They're actually excited that their girls have got back into the match, because it was a bit of a lead early by the Aussies.
Bomberto from Adelaide. Cox of Sydney. McMahon of the Melbourne Phoenix in front of her home fans.
Oh,
great ball
beautiful.
movement. Do those two play like their sisters?
Oh, they've got that sixth sense, haven't they, to know where each other are.
And netball in Melbourne at the State Netball and Hockey Centre. The Australians leading by 3 and the Jamaicans almost with a turnover. Brilliantly saved by Thomas. She has it again, looking for the lob pass into Aiken.
And why wouldn't you go there every time with arms like that for your goal shooter?
There she is, Romelda Aiken. She had 10 goals from 11 attempts in the first quarter. A great start for her. Her teammate Forbes 6 for 6, so extremely high percentage, and that's what the Jamaicans are desperate to do.
The bench then was just absolutely going off, saying that the Jamaicans had that ball then, so they were really trying to cheer the umpire to make a positive decision for them.
Catherine Cox just calming things down for the Australians. Gilson and putting all sorts of pressure on the centre pass. Into Aiken Ellis, giving away the penalty. She's getting a little bit frustrated.
Well, she's trying to really work the front space, so getting her footwork going and moving around, trying to make it hard to find that pass in, but just coming down for a little bit of contact at the end that the umpire picked up.
Forbes converts. The Jamaicans doing a good job here. Margin still at 2. And brilliant pass from Gilson into Cox. The Sydney teammates combining. We'll have a look at that once again in replay.
And that was brilliant driving from Selena Gilson, and she noticed that Casey Evering's eyes were down for Jamaica and threw that ball straight into Cox.
That's all it takes. The international level, the ball's just moving so quickly. And Gilson forces the turnover, but she's called for contact.
I would call that Tiki Touchwood, just personally. I did not think that she actually touched her.
Well, it's important to note, of course, we have impartial umpires. We've got 2 umpires from New Zealand. And so, no home crowd decisions. Good position from Cox. Great teaming. Laura Vomberto fed her the ball. Going back to Byfield.
Now, there's been more drive down court by the defenders from Jamaica, helping out in attack. That's probably what Connie Francis was talking about in the backup.
But it might leave them exposed for the quickness of the Australians. We'll have a look at that. What Eloise was talking about, these defenders pushing up.
That's unfortunate, because I don't think she had control of that on the first touch.
Replay.
As you
Gibson
can see,
forced to slow down there, wasn't she? And
they love to catch it and run on with that ball. That's their style.
And Forbes almost falling out of court, pirouetted 180 degrees.
She's got it on the string.
Super. Well, it's all highlights at one end, and it's pretty methodical down the other end.
When you are playing Jamaica, their speed is their advantage. They're really quick off the mark, and so something like that, a 50-50 context, you're nearly going to always back the Jamaican to win it, unless, of course, Sherelle McMahon's going for it.
And here's Aiken. The Jamaicans draw to within 1. Well, before the game, we were chatting about you never know what's going to happen in these games. The Jamaicans are ranked world number 3 for a reason. They're an excellent side, and when they're on their game, as they seem to be after a pretty shaky first 5 minutes tonight, they're a very impressive unit. As the penalties advanced, Forbes scores a level. 21 goals apiece. As we have a look at Norma Plummer, she's a little bit more tense perhaps than she was in the first quarter. She knows her side's in for a very fierce contest.
Great dodging on that baseline by Catherine Cox to lose her defender. Evering got caught going one way and Catherine opened the other.
Contact against Selena Gilson, and so she's out of play. Thomas is free. Will they go to Aiken? She was well marked, but
once the Jamaicans get it onto the top of the circle, their attackers, they can then just pop it straight up into space for Aiken.
In the style of their play, comparing it to perhaps one of the Commonwealth Bank Trophy teams, would you say like a Melbourne Kestrels or Caitlin Thwaites, or is there a similar style attacking team?
Well, yeah, anyone with a big, tall shooter. So even when Joe Morgan's playing for Queensland Fibre, it's a similar game because they've got Lauren Nurse who's in the Australian squad, and she's really quick and zippy and then just feeds it in on the edge. So that would be some sort of a comparison. But the Jamaicans, they love the aerial game. So you watch it, they'll start to steady things down now after this quarter-time break and just start popping it up high into space.
And it's worked again. Aiken dropping back. She's shooting at 87%. Liz Ellis, her direct opponent, with 13 penalties against her. So a number of Aiken's shots have been unchallenged. And the bench is up again. The Jamaican bench with another turnover against the Aussies. They're firing.
Oh, no. That's a tough call. Basically, Byfield was just trying to flick the ball back in and it tapped off Laura Von Berto.
And maybe that's the catch up, the square up there for the umpire. McMahon.
Very easy and nice play there from the Australians, just opening up to Sherelle McMahon nicely.
Has her 13th goal of the match, Sherelle McMahon.
You'll notice that the Australians are wearing armbands. That's because Sherelle McMahon's grandmother did pass away. She attended the funeral on Wednesday.
Is Forbes a long way from home, forced to go backwards. Dangerous pass to Byfield. Chatfield slapping it away.
You see just in that little passage how aerial the girls from Jamaica were playing. Very high takes.
Aiken fighting her way towards the basket. And it's goal for goal here at the State Netball and Hockey Centre as it's over a third. The Von Berto sisters not quite teaming up so well on that occasion, but they'll get it back.
Australia just need to steady and work it through. Don't put out any really challenging balls. Just make sure you hit the target.
McMahon working very hard on Byfield for position.
Evering then just getting caught with hands before distance.
And, oh, gee, good fighting by Cox. Perhaps she was a bit lucky to get the ball back, but her eyes were up and she was alert.
I think trying not to force it, they're starting to panic a little bit, Australia. They've just got to calm down, play short, sharp netball and do what they're good at.
Dangerous little ball from the Jamaicans. They're very unpredictable, aren't they? I mean, you talk about the aerial ball, but there's a couple of loose passes here and there, but they somehow, since that first 5 minutes, they've managed to find a teammate with consistency, as Aiken will have another attempt. Ellis once again out of play.
And when you play teams like this, it's when it is unorthodox and it's a bit wishy-washy, it's played area high, balls up, back, forward. It is hard to defend. It's like you've just got to stick on your player and make sure there's no one unguarded, because they just throw to the loose player every time.
Advantage obstruction and contact. Advantage obstruction, wing.
Not many options.
Thomas absolutely ran into the back of Natalie Von Berto then. It was really quite a big shove. Great lean from the Jamaican defence.
Great crowd in Melbourne. Just about a full house. Almost 3,000 people at the State Netball and Hockey Centre.
Well, if they came to the Commonwealth Games match between these two nations, they would be back because it was brilliant. I remember here losing my voice that game.
Forbes looking for Aiken. Forbes just trying to creep an extra inch or two on the way into the ring. Jamaicans
great speed
with scores level, and yeah, the Australians flying down the court to Cox. Catherine Cox converts. 13 goals for her, 87%. Sherelle McMahon a little bit down at 78%. The Australians have had 5 more attempts, but they only lead by 1. Gives you an indication that their shooting has been somewhat inconsistent.
The Australian defenders double teaming, leaving Forbes open for Jamaica.
Obstruction, goalkeeper. Obstruction, goal defence, both out.
More penalties against the Australian defenders. And Aiken can just do as she pleases with no pressure on the shot. Crowd once again reacting to some physical play there from Jamaica. Evering that time against Cox. Australia leading by 2. Just under 5 minutes remaining as Aiken reaches up to the sky. And Ellis once again called for the obstruction. Scores level once more at 28. It's been goal for goal for this entire quarter. Tense netball.
Great rebound position from McMahon to take that. Nice steadier for the Aussies.
Well, going with the centre pass. The Jamaicans looking to draw level once more. Forbes.
Great drive by Henry. And in to her teammate, Aitken. Just great hands on those takes.
There's Norma Plummer.
Looking quite red and nervous. I don't think she'll be happy with her troops at half-time.
Well, perhaps talk a little bit more about it at half-time, but is it the Australians not playing well enough, or is it just the Jamaicans are meeting the challenge?
I think the Jamaicans have stepped up to the challenge, and I think Connie Francis, their coach, revved them up at quarter times and told them to believe in themselves, and that's half the battle at this international level. The girls that are playing are good enough. It's just believing that you can beat a better side than you on the day.
And they're riding every ball, every attempted steal, every pass. They were dancing before the game, the Jamaicans. And they're still excited on the bench, that's for sure. Sherelle McMahon continues to steady the Australians. Shows you how much it means to the Jamaicans. Just those images of them. There's Aiken. Scores tied at 30. We'll have a look at
We had a positional swap by Chatfield and Allison. So Chatfield came back on Aitken, but still no luck there with an intercept. Oh, a lot of pushing under there. Very tough stuff.
McMahon cool under pressure. She's got her percentage back up above 80%. That's what she'll be aiming for, no doubt. I thought Ellis might have been a chance there. Oh, but great play, Aiken and Forbes. Forbes is still perfect, 12 for 12. 2.5 minutes until half-time, and the Australians are being challenged by the world number 3s. Against Gibson.
When there's a penalty outside, I feel the Jamaican defenders are just stopping and not continually defending the whole time. Even when the umpire's blown the whistle, you can't let your guard slip. You have to stick on them, and that's enabling McMahon just to pop out.
And McMahon on that last play, brilliant little tap to Cox, who was in great position, and Ellis beaten again. But you can't really put any blame at the feet of Liz Ellis. That is just too tall.
Precision passing as well, getting in there.
And the screen there from Catherine Cox. She held her position, was waiting for the contact.
It was great that she rolled out of that. Once McMahon had driven past her, she undid herself from the screen and popped open nicely.
Thomas stuck for options down the court.
Forbes has been great. She's been everywhere on this court. She's running around, trying to be creative. She generally doesn't have a person on a team, an Australian player defending her outside the circle because they're dropping back on a double team on Aitken.
And her balance is superb. It's about the 4th or 5th occasion she shot off 1 foot like that, and they haven't been orthodox either. 33 goals apiece. Catherine Cox from range. McMahon, the commitments.
Brilliant. She actually out-jumped a Jamaican. That is amazing.
Well, we'll have a look at it again, Eloise. That's how good it was. Sherelle McMahon darts in from the side, around the back of the post.
And Casey Evering thought, where did she come from?
And that's why she's one of the greatest players this country's ever produced. Well, I suspect Simone Forbes can probably have the same title bestowed upon her at the Jamaican, from the Jamaican nation.
Great shooting from Cox. She's now 17 from 21 at 81%, so going nicely. Good distance this time from Liz Ellis.
See, Aiken rattled around, a bit of a shooter's roll there. But she's earned it. She's been... Jamaica and Australia in Melbourne, 35 goals apiece. Sensational first half performance by the Jamaicans. They were trailing at one stage by 8 goals.
And Connie Francis, their coach, asked for backup, and that's what they got in that second quarter.
And they're looking to take the lead for the first time since the opening goals of the match. And Forbes does the business. 15 for 16. Simone Forbes, our featured player from the Jamaican side. Very experienced. No changes for either side at halftime.
Sherelle McMahon just needs to steady. Byfield has done quite a good job. She's been pretty physical on McMahon.
Catherine Cox. She scores level once again. Shooting at 82% ahead of her teammate Sherelle McMahon as Gilson and just picks Henry's pocket. But unfortunately, the Aussies just throwing the ball away. Down the other end, McMahon, desperate. Couldn't get in front of Gibson.
Good defensive pressure by McMahon to have a go, trying to come around the body to get a tip on that ball.
Byfield driving hard through the centre. Up to Henry.
Silly turnover by the Jamaicans because they had that play pretty much sewn up.
Laura Von Berto waiting for McMahon. Waiting for Cox to lead again. Gee, the lob pass from Von Berto was on to McMahon. The Australians decide just to slow it down and throw the ball around, and very close to a steal there from Gibson.
Gibson's been called for the contact coming around Natalie Von Berto.
Evering not quite quick enough to intercept the pass to Sherelle McMahon.
And on that shot, Sherelle McMahon actually got smacked in the face after she shot it. So they do know she's a crucial player for Australia, and if they can rattle her, it tends to upset the Aussies.
And Cox and Evering just getting tangled up there as well, as Evering slow to get up. And the Aussies score 2 in a row. In fact, 3 in a row, I should say, to go to a 2-goal lead.
Wing defence, penalty pass.
Against Gilson, and that's a number of penalties against her. That's 8. Still, it pales into insignificance when you see 14 against Chatfield and 17 against Dallas. Done some good.
Just soothed it.
Australia leading by 1. McMahon. Haven't been too many shots from that sort of range for the Australians. They've been getting most of their shots close to the ring. They've
worked it in or done the old shooter to shooter, and generally taken the nice short shot.
Oh, Chatfield almost. She did enough, but just didn't quite have the support.
And that's one thing you're told when you are a defending player on that edge of the circle. So Natalie Von Berto and Selena Gilson must pick up every single tip or crumb that they can possibly get to help their team out.
Mann and Von Berto teaming up very, very nicely into Catherine Cox. And that's textbook stuff.
Much steadier play from the Aussies. That's much better work.
And that reassuring buffer of 2 as the Australian shooting stats there. Both of them below their season average, what they've been shooting for their club sides, which I guess you'd expect with the pressure of an international.
Well, that's right. It is a step up. And these defenders that they're playing on are very tall, long arms, so different sort of to cope with compared to playing against people you generally know and you're good friends. You've played them year after year. So this is very different.
Chatfield providing an option from defence, and she throws it away.
Must not step on. You must steady your feet when you take that ball down the court.
On Aiken.
Great stuff for the Jamaicans, those turnovers. They're just making sure every turnover they get an opportunity to score off.
And it's back to their centre pass. So once again, with the opportunity to go ahead. McMahon in great position. Gibson's pass just didn't quite have enough on it. The Vomberto sisters stream down and create options. But just enough contact from the centre first, that's Thomas, and then the goalkeeper Evering to slow the Australians down, but Catherine Cox is equal to the challenge.
Great long shot by Cox.
5 minutes gone in the third.
Great centre pass set up by the Australians. Easily found Laura Vomberto on the top of the circle.
It's an exciting game of netball, isn't it, Eloise? The Aussies have got that 2-goal buffer now, but they're under a lot of pressure.
Well, this is international netball at its best.
We've got 4 test matches still to come in this series, 3 of them in Australia, so I'd suggest everyone gets along to them. The Jamaicans playing on Sunday in Sydney, and then a couple of test matches against the Kiwis. One in Auckland, then we go to Melbourne, back to Melbourne, and then over to Adelaide.
Well, the Jamaicans are playing a lot more patient netball, and you know, they're making good choices, and that could have a lot to do with Jill McIntosh, an ex-Australian coach, consulting for them. He's been over there for 4 weeks and is travelling with the team, helping them with all their coaching. So it's good to see them, you know, now up to the consistent level of playing, you know, the world's top 2 netballing teams, as in New Zealand and Australia.
And I know you've spoken to Jill this week, your old coach, and what kind of knowledge, how much knowledge can you impart in a 4-week stint? As there's a turnover, dangerous pass from the Jamaicans. We'll come back to that because the Aussies are streaming down the court. It's non-stop action, but brilliant read from Evering.
She had the great long reach. She just snapped it out of nowhere.
Distraction, goal shooter.
Against Cox. The Jamaicans having to reset. Now they steady with Henry. Into Thomas. Into Aiken. Oh, what a pass, what a take. Everyone in the crowd is just shaking their heads at this display.
It's just amazing that how they're playing. And look, you talk about Jill McIntosh being over there. She can do a lot with, in terms of even just, they've got their own style and flair, and then just being very creative, as we see Jill McIntosh in the crowd there, talking to Marianne Mackay, who's been working with the Melbourne Kestrels this year as well. But Jill, she's got so much knowledge, and all it is just telling them how they can play at this top level, and that's to beat Australia and New Zealand. And that's what we want. We want international games, but it's not always Australia and New Zealand playing out for the top spot. So I think it's great that we can have ex-coaches go over and teach other nations how to play, and how to play with speed and flair, and you know, lots more, you know, tactical things that they probably have never heard of before. So I think it's brilliant.
Great wing attack, free pass.
The Australians maintaining that 2-goal buffer. Now they have a chance to extend it because of the turnover from the Jamaicans.
Offside, free pass. Yes, where you are.
Gibson with great anticipation, but stepped inside the circle. It's offside. McMahon with the reach. She was trying. She thought she was Romelda Aiken, or perhaps Catherine Cox did, just lobbing it up there.
Yeah, I think Cox did.
Not even Sherelle McMahon, with her much vaunted vertical leap, could get that one, as Laura Vomberto was swung to the ground.
Oh, good position, Liz Ellis. Got a tip on it. Unfortunate she couldn't collect it.
There's good sportsmanship shown by Nicola Gibson just a moment ago with Laura Vomberto hitting the deck. We'll see the replay. And as the just missed, the ball was just swung around from Nicola Gibson, and just not Laura Vomberto. There's not much of her off her feet, but nothing untoward. Nicola Gibson wandering over and apologising. As we have the Australians leading it by 2 with just under 6 minutes until 3/4 time.
Alice and Chatfield have done a positional swap, so they've swapped players to defend, trying something different. It's too easy though for Forbes to cut through on the baseline.
And now she's hurt. 1 goal the difference, the Australians leading Jamaica. 5.5 minutes until 3/4 time. Australians under significant pressure. Cox having to fight Evering for that ball. Restores the 2-goal margin. Have you seen Catherine Cox's game? A surprise starter for some?
Well, not so much. I know that she's got it in her to play well, but in the past few outings, Pratley has played with McMahon. That seems to be the combination. But I think pretty much they've had a good tussle between one another.
Yeah, we should say Catherine Cox, a veteran. This is her 60-second cap, so like she's just a rookie into the side, but she's brilliantly teaming with McMahon there, and Sherelle McMahon gets the 3-goal advantage back to Australia as the Aussies scored 2 in a row.
They just need to steady through this transverse line into attack, find the space. Great turnover there.
Gibson it was. Thomas now slowing it down. She's had some injury problems in this third term. Looking for Henry now, Gibson. Forbes once again controlling into Aiken. Chatfield was back quickly, but Aiken's grip on the ball was too strong. Romelda Aiken, 26 goals for her. 94% the Jamaicans are shooting it. The Aussies only down at 84%.
Now, Forbes has the ability to come out for every centre pass because she can't be defended by Liz Ellis, who's playing keeper, but during the positional swap with Chatfield, she can't actually come out there.
And this time, one goes against the Jamaican goal shooter, Romelda Aiken. 21 years old, Aiken, and a huge future ahead of her. Cox. Great shot.
Great pressure shot by Cox to come through and take that with pretty much about 10 centimetres in from the edge of the ring to shoot it through.
She's lifting this Crowders. That might silence the Crowders. The Jamaicans force another turnover. Forbes controlling the play once again, but they've thrown it away, Jamaica. Gilsonen. Chatfield coming up from defence, and Evering fell over, allowed Cox free possession of the ball, and a great shot. Catherine Cox has got her eye in now. She's hitting them from everywhere.
Fantastic shot. Absolutely fantastic shot. She steadies on it, has a look, and sinks it.
And another turnover. So this is a difficult period of the game for the Jamaicans. They need to steady. They've been brilliant for 2.5 quarters. They're just losing contact a little bit with the Australians at the moment. The Aussies leading by 4 with a chance to go up by 5. Cox drops back into McMahon, not quite. They'll have another chance. This is Australia's biggest margin since the first quarter. And they're up to 85% shooting percentages. There's another turnover. They won the ball and then coughed it straight up.
Not a good pass by Chatfield then, just to flick it off.
And Aiken is free as a breakdown of communication between Chatfield and Ellis. Australia by 4. Forbes controlling the play with Henry. Aiken just brought it to ground and then aggressively attacked the loose ball, converts.
The Australians really need to put the pressure on before the high ball goes in. They really need to get the turnovers early.
Jamaica have scored the last 2. Get this margin back to 3. Every time they've been down, they've showed the ability to rally.
Desperately want the win, Jamaicans.
Ellis steps up to Forbes once again.
Better three-peat pressure.
Oh, Chatfield worried Aiken out of that ball, but Forbes just swooping in there like lightning and picked it up, as we'll have a look at that again because Simone Forbes just came darting in.
She came darting in and
from nowhere.
Liz Ellis stopped defending her and she was able to scoot through. So you've got to make sure you keep that body position in and stop them coming in.
And McMahon putting her body on the line. That's what she does best. She won the ball, made the shot.
Much better play from her this quarter. More controlled, not getting frustrated with anything.
As the crowd's getting involved with Liz Ellis being called up. As this is very close to three-quarter time, Aiken will need to get this one away. The Australians are under all sorts of pressure against the Jamaicans, though, in this last quarter, 52-49. The Aussies leading it. It's been goal for goal since quarter time. And the Jamaicans are on their feet early, having forced a turnover.
Very silly turnover from the Australians. They'll be disappointed with that. It's probably silly little passes. There was no other option.
But they've almost won it back, Chatfield.
The slapping over the shoulder. They're always going to ping those ones up when you come from behind. You've got to move your feet and get round forward in front of your player.
And oh, beautifully worked. Forbes and Thomas, back to Forbes. How good was that?
Brilliant.
Jamaicans draw to within two, I should say, but they have the centre pass.
Good tip by Selena Gilson, and then...
Oh, a timeout's going to be called in a moment because she looks like she's cramping. So the Australians 52, Jamaica 50. Just under 14 minutes remaining in this final quarter. The action from the State Netball and Hockey Centre in Melbourne. Vomberto looking to just dart a cheeky little pass in there to Cox.
They've got to have more than one option coming to the ball at every opportunity.
Two Jamaicans just showing their commitment there, throwing themselves at that ball. McMahon, she's free. Excellent pass from Laura Vomberto.
Great screen from Cox. The space was behind to McMahon. Well done, Australia.
Delay, bring it up. Bring it up to the line.
So it's a step up, take the pass.
Well
and excellent
read.
anticipation, but Vomberto was good enough to regain possession for the Aussies.
It's unfortunate from Byfield because she read it well to come out, had two hands on it, but just fumbled at the last minute.
4 goals the lead for the Aussies. They led by 8 in the first quarter. The Jamaicans have also had the lead, though, in the third quarter. It's been a tight game since those opening couple of minutes, but the Aussies look to be able to get the margin out to 5 now. Great teamwork, and the Jamaicans just caught a little bit apart from their players that time. Bit of loose checking, costly.
Good movement from the Australians. They're trying to make sure that they've got lots of options to the ball.
It seems to me that Eloise, as a lay observer, I guess, that Nicola Gibson perhaps giving Laura Vomberto too much room out on those wings.
She is, and what you want to do with the Vombertos is get your hands up early, try and cover them and channel them off the circle, so keep pushing them wide to make them feed from a long way out. And, you know, I think since the timeout that Jamaica called, it stopped their flow, so Australia's capitalised on that.
Aiken scores her 30th goal for the match and snaps a run of 4 in Australia's favour as Natalie Vomberto this time is in the wars. Gibson, once again, didn't mean anything by that. Nothing untoward in the incident.
Except to stop her.
Yeah. Professional foul, perhaps. The Jamaicans, though, forced the turnover again. But they're stagnant moving down the court. Now they might get a little bit of a run on.
Selena Gilson and trying everything to put 3 feet pressure on, trying to defend the pass in.
Jamaica have scored the last 2, the margin back to 4. Can they come with a rush? They've done it before in this city. Commonwealth Games last time, the Aussies led by 8 at three-quarter time. Last time these sides met, Jamaica rallied for the draw. What was an important result in the context of that tournament.
Well done, Bianca Chatfield really set up the inexperienced Aiken. Was trying to make sure she got right up on her body and made her work to try and get around her, and she just tried to push through, so the contact came.
Oh, an excellent pass and great movement. McMahon and Cox. We'll have a look at it again on replay, Eloise. Just talk us through this.
Sherelle McMahon saw the opening. Cox drove wide and through the base and finished off nicely with a good shot.
They tried to go to the well and do it one more time, but Casey Evering was too good for them. She made the interception. Byfield just couldn't quite stretch it far enough. The Jamaican game just coming apart a fraction in these last couple of minutes. Testing time for them. Can they rally again? Catherine Cox with a superb stroke.
One of the things that Jill McIntosh has been telling them in her coaching stint over there in Jamaica is to stay focused. When the going gets tough, don't let your mind slip on the job that you've got to do. So, you know, whether or not that's happening in these last few minutes.
Forbes converts. 9 minutes to go in the match. Jamaica trailing Australia by 5.
Contact, send a penalty pass.
Once again, a penalty against Jamaica. Been significantly more penalties, though, against the Australians. This one's costly, though. Cox converts. There you see the penalty stats, 80 to 52 against the Aussies. And most of those in the goal third, but uncharacteristically, perhaps, a significant number in the centre third as well. The Aussies just being a little bit over-aggressive, just like Gilsonan was on that occasion.
I'm sure a majority of them have been, though, obstructions from our two circle defenders more than anything, and that's really not rough play. That's just really, you've got to make sure that you concentrate and listen to what the umpire's calling, and if you have to make your obstruction a bit bigger, your distance, then that's what you've got to do to clean it up.
McMahon and Cox working very hard, trying to make position. The Aussies not up to it, though, that time.
Connie Francis, I can hear her calling easy, easy, work it through for the Jamaicans.
Jamaican doing some good work down there, isn't it? So the Jamaicans still trailing by 4, and they turn it over, not quite. Risky pass. Henry into Aiken. Aiken once again just being a little bit sneaky. So she too far out for her, so she leaves it for Forbes and makes good position. That's smart play.
It is. She put the ball down, and obviously then they could just pass that really high ball in to Aiken.
And the Jamaicans have scored the last 3. Umberto just out of her reach. Now have another opportunity as there's another injury perhaps. Evering, she was another player who was hurt earlier. Says she's okay.
Got to think strong in mind and body, these Jamaicans. They can't keep calling time.
Well, we saw earlier in this quarter when they did, it really upset their flow. Luckily for them, they seem to have got back into the rhythm of the match now and still have an opportunity.
They sure do. Only 3 goals in it.
Be a famous victory if they could pull it off. 6.5 minutes remaining. They've only ever beaten Australia 3 times in 32 attempts. Much like every other nation in the world, the Australians have a dominant record against them, and the Australian crowd gets involved because Selena Gilsonan earns a free pass.
Contact centre, penalty pass.
And will be advanced for a second penalty against the Jamaicans.
Good attacking support from Gilsonan down to the Vombertos.
Advantage, contact, ring defence.
McMahon.
Obstruction, keeper.
The Aussie vice-captain has been steady, and she's really worked her way back into the game shooting-wise. She was down as low as about 76% earlier, but when the pressure's been on, she's risen to the challenge, 85%.
Well, I think that's when she likes them, when it's really close.
We've all seen the footage. Sherelle McMahon winning games for Australia many times. There was just a little incident there the crowd didn't like with one of the Jamaican defenders perhaps just dragging their foot over Sherelle McMahon's back.
Giving her a little foot in the back for her troubles.
think we might have actually got that one on replay. It'll be just on the left-hand side as McMahon hits the deck and... Oh, yeah, there it was. Gibson, Nicola Gibson.
That's really uncalled for because McMahon, you know, there was nothing even in that contest. It was probably a bad pass, if anything, by the Australians.
But if nothing else, it shows the intensity of this match and what it means to the Jamaicans. You said they're tough, Eloise, and they've proven to be tonight. As Aiken.
Thank you very much. I'll grab that over the top. It was a nice push in the back as well by the Australian defenders.
Hands in the back, AFL.
Yeah, you can't put your hands in the back anymore. In netball or football.
So the Jamaicans still trailing by 2, but Aiken can make that just 1. She beat Chatfield for that ball once again. Cox is ignored. We see McMahon now for the first time tonight playing in the goal shooter role. She makes position so quick. And Evering just knocking the post.
There's contact on the arm for Evering. That's why she stood out of play.
The Aussies just with that breathing space, but it can evaporate in the blink of an eye.
Especially
the crowd starting to get involved.
Yeah, trying to cheer the Aussies home.
Thrilling game, full house. A great exhibition of netball.
Contact, centre, penalty pass.
Contact by Thomas, just pushing into the back. Natalie Vomberto. Pressure shot from Cox.
Oh, it's short too, perhaps a sign of nerves.
Not sure if it's nerves as much as probably being a little more puffed. You change position, you get out at goal, you've got to run around a lot more, and then you've got to get that momentum and shoot. It's a bit different to playing shooter when you have more time.
It's been an interesting game because although it's so close and so exciting, it's been a little bit stop-start because of the amazing number of penalties. The Aussies up to 62, 92 I should say, against 59 for Jamaica.
A lot of penalties.
Oh, McMahon. Vomberto again, though, just allowed so much space. Laura Vomberto.
And an interesting fact that Laura Vomberto, this is the first time that she's played against Jamaica, so a different style of play for her, so it's great that she's playing a whole match and getting used to this physicality. She just does not miss. 95% for Aiken, 38 from 40 goals.
Yeah, brilliant stats for the 21-year-old. And her teammate Forbes pretty fantastic as well. Even a higher percentage, if that's possible, 96%. Shouldn't say if that's possible, obviously it's possible.
Contact, goalkeeper, background here, goalkeeper, no, come in, goalkeeper.
Umpire just issuing some instructions to Evering. Making sure all the moons and the stars and the players align.
A centimetre in line. I don't understand that rule, but she was out of play.
Norma Plummer still doesn't look happy. Into Aiken. She's a little bit outside her range perhaps, so she offloads to Forbes. Too quick for Alice that time.
Great drive by Forbes to get in there under the post.
And Connie Francis driving her team.
Nearly
They trail
stepping
by one.
Gilson in there. Lucky that the umpire didn't pick that up for Australia.
We mentioned Aussie rules before. The Aussie girls perhaps have been having a look at it, just chipping the ball around in mid-court, throwing it around, patiently waiting for the option.
The umpire bringing the ball in then. Great shot by McMahon. Pressure situation. She had to sink that shot.
Against Gilsonen. The Jamaicans have 40 seconds to find a goal here and then a turnover. And Aiken, oh, how did she do that? Forbes almost with the miracle shot. And that could be enough for Australia. If they control possession or convert here,
Good steady
the game could be over. Catherine Cox does it.
Great steady by Natalie Vomberto on the edge of that ring then to feed into Catherine Cox.
Contact, goalkeeper, yes.
Getting a little physical at the end. Jamaica probably getting frustrated.
And McMahon does it for Australia. They've scored the last 3 to finish off this game, and that is the final whistle.